And yeah, do you got any questions for me before we start?
Um, Not particularly. There was, if we have time towards the end, I'd like to look at one of my wins on Winston too, because
Okay,
Winston and Ryan who I like the most.
sounds
But
good.
if you do,
Yeah, well, 14 minutes we might go through that. Depends on how much there is to go over, but we'll see.
okay,
So yeah, we didn't go over tank at all last time, so I'll just go ahead with the assumption that I'll talk about everything here. So yeah, we'll just take
okay,
a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about, and we'll start up.
alrighty.
Okay, like the spawn fire strike.
That's the best you can do.
Okay, so initially, so we'll to go more in depth on this as we go along, but like I'll just mention it casually to begin here. We just kind of eat up a lot of damage with our shield before the fight even starts. So we don't, as Reinhardt, want to eat random spam damage. Instead, we want to focus on like specific things. I guess we can just go into it in depth for the moment. I mean, we have enough time for that,
Yeah,
right? So when it comes to Reinhardt shielding, you have specific things that you want to shield, right? You want to shield when you are low, when you have teammates who are low, to save lives, obviously. You want to shield abilities and ultimates. You want to shield when you're pushing, when you're backing up, and you want to shield if there's an insane amount of spam damage and you think it's going to kill someone. That's all times where you can shield. But we don't want to shield for just any old random spam damage, which is what we're shielding now, right? You can go through all those boxes and check them
yeah,
off, and currently none of those things are happening. We're not pushing, backing up, no one's slow, we're not blocking anything in particular. It's just random spam. And then what ends up happening is because we're just soaking up all this random
That's the
spam before the
best you
fight
can do.
starts, now we just don't. Our shield's already half by the time the fight does begin, right? So like we put it up and then we put it up and then now by the time we're within swinging distance, we're only half on our shield, right? Which is just not what we
right.
want to be happening. So alternatively, here the best course of action would probably just to be holding the corner and just putting yourself out of line of sight. You know,
Now,
peeking for fire strikes. Hmm?
is that the ideal spot for a Reinhardt, or is there a different spot I should be set up at,
This is fine. Honestly, if you're like, you can also hold like up
like
top
the high
here if you
ground?
wanted to, but
Yeah.
this is mainly usually if you're like on a spam composition. On Reinhardt, this is fine to hold on the bottom. Honestly, like there's no big issue with this. So holding down
Okay.
here is not like I'd probably say they're usually around. Maybe you find like a tiny bit more value up here, but it's also harder to utilize this. So
Okay.
for the moment, this is completely fine positioning. Just using
Okay.
the corner more to so that you're not having to use your shield because in
Right.
in fact, like if you just look at their perspective, the whole time like we weren't shielding anything at all. We were just shielding us, right? So we're just
Right.
holding it up for an unnecessary reason. Know where we were before there. Okay, and then because we're putting it up so frequently, we're also notice how we're also flashing it up very often as well. So after they push in, notice how just watch the barrier on the very bottom, right? On how much shield you actually have, and we keep flashing it up so that we actually never recharge it. So we put it up, and then 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 we put it up, right? And it never actually starts recharging, which means that it's just constantly going down rather than going up too. So not only did we
Okay.
come in with to the fight with half shield, but we're also never giving it time to recharge, which means that we're also just not going to be able to, we just run out of our shield super fast here. So we just better shield management would probably be a good way to go in this fight, right?
Okay.
And then here we are just getting aggressive. We just don't put up our shield fast enough, or at least we don't back up fast enough, right? Just watching our health bar, just paying attention to like how in danger we are. Here we just like swing too much, and we just hold down shield too much, and then we just get melted. So we just want to watch our health bar, make sure we're not on the front line swinging too much, and then we also have to just keep in mind. I guess it's like real quick. Let's scan team comps. We just got to keep in mind that I think their team comp is going to have the better Reinhardt support than our team comp has. specifically with like the Zarya over our Sigma, right, is going to benefit their Reinhardt better, right? And then we have
Right.
pretty much same supports, but then also DPS wise, they have a McCree, which adds in additional, additional flashbang, and then Hanzo's gonna be better at melting you down than a soldier is melting their Reinhardt down, right? So overall, they have a superior composition to killing you than your composition has to killing the enemy Reinhardt. So we just have to keep team comps in mind and think, okay, I have to play slightly more passive than the enemy Reinhardt. That doesn't mean like you're never engaging at all or ever swinging. It just means that just in comparison, we're playing slightly more passive than
Okay.
usual.
Group up with me.
Okay. Be swinging when you're on top of the Reinhardt. If you're just sitting there taking a beating, that's getting no value to yourself. Whereas here, this is probably a good time where we could just be swinging on the enemy Reinhardt. So notice how like we step within his swinging range and then just hold up a shield. So like notice how we do this, right? We push in, and we just kind of step within his range, and we're about to swing, and then we just hard shield, and we swing once, and then we hard shield, right? So we step within that range, and then we don't swing at all. So we just make sure we're not doing that if we're not going to swing, right? That way he can't just like bully us for free. Okay, that was a terrible time to be nanoing you. All right. Now that the cart's all the way back there, now we probably should not be holding this corner. It'd probably be better if we just came up and held the high ground, because this would give us a couple different things. First off, this gives us closer spawns. If we're keeping the fight happening over here, then that means that we get our spawns faster, and in fact, like our soldiers still running back. That means as well that there's less cover that we can use over here if we don't have the cart. Then on top of that, this just
They can
makes
loop around.
it makes it easier for back caps to happen if we're pushed this far forwards. So overall, usually you're going to want to hold where the cart is for the most part on most maps. Like whenever you hold up here if the cart's over here, but then if the cart's over on this side, now you're holding closer to the cart so that you can actually defend it, right?
So where would you suggest holding here?
I'd probably say just hold the high ground.
High ground here?
Just high
Okay.
ground. This would give your Junkrat soldier time to spam at them, your Sigma time to spam at them, and then as they get closer and closer, then we can like drop on top of them and start swinging, right, and start to do things. Or if we notice that our team, like if we see an opening, like we see someone's like low HP from our spam, or someone's out of position, right, then we can drop on top of them, right, and get aggressive. Very massive. Yeah, very nice. Good shatter usage there. Oh, almost.
I know, the jump. It's a terrible habit of mine.
Well, the jump's actually usually a good idea because it gives you more time to, like if you're jumping backwards before you're pinning, that's usually a good tech to know, because then it gives you more time to prepare for something like, so for example, let's say we're trying to charge a Reinhardt from like right here, right? We just have very little time to adjust, whereas if we jump backwards, right, now we can adjust a little bit before actually... Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I'm hiccuping a bit there. So we can adjust a little bit before we can actually hit the person. So jumping backwards isn't a bad habit. There we just jumped a little bit too far to the side. And then just ended up booping him.
Yeah, she was bubbled anyways.
Nice block. Alright, they're just...
They pressed Q a lot.
They pressed a lot of Qs. At that point, that fight was probably, let's see, like that fight was probably lost at this point. That might be a...
Yeah.
So here we're down, we lose 2 people, we get a pick, so it's a 5, currently it's a, on the enemy, wait, no, they're on the enemy team 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, so actually it's a 4v4, so it's actually decently even there. Okay, just rushing the fight. So they pressed Q, but it looks like it was all on us, so that works out, actually. Let's rewind half a second here. We recontest here when we're the only person, right, besides the 1 HP Moran, probably
No.
not wanting to go in, right? Just paying attention to the flow of the fight. That might have been something we talked about last time, is like watching kill
Yeah.
feed and how many people you have alive, right? So it's just awareness. Because here we go back in when it's basically, more as like 1 HP. We can count that like 1.5 versus 1, 2, 3, 4 people, right? We probably, if we are to go in here, because we have a lot of time to spare, right? We have to, they only, sorry, to rephrase that, right? We only have to touch after the cart's like right about the cap, right? So we can give it another like 5 seconds, wait for Junkrat and Soldier to get back, and then re-engage if we wanted to, if we felt like we can. But here, definitely just much too early, and I would imagine we're gonna probably die here. Alright, so just the awareness of it, and then yeah, we end up dying, and then that staggers us further, because now notice how we get like super, super bad spawns. So instead of just grouping up and engaging in an actual 6v6 on the second point, now he's spawning super far away, and then it's gonna take us even longer to get back. Probably say this is, even with that charge distance, that's probably a longer wrap around to get to the exact same spot. It's just walking out the left door and just like charging up here, right? That's just probably
Okay.
just gonna be faster on
Okay.
most characters, unless you're intentionally trying to, like, if you feel like if they're gonna stuff this top left door, which sometimes they do, then we can maybe go bottom right to try to like not have them be able to shoot at us.
Right.
Observe the barrier.
All right.
Barrier activated.
Let's talk about team compositions and no man's land usage real quick. So let's just first off talk about team compositions. So I'm going to, for real quick, link you up a picture
Okay.
over on Discord if you'd like to take a look. So this is just rough team compositions. Have you heard of Dive, Brawl, and Spam?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so those are just all the different team comps in the game. So we'll just discuss how those like operate and how they specifically look to be playing. So Dive, you know, you said you know what they are. You know what characters go into all these, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Like Winston, Diva, Dive,
mm,
Brawl, Zarya, Rein,
mm.
Spam, Sig, Orisa,
All right.
essentially.
Yeah, there you go. Yep, you got it. So, Dive's just gonna be, their play style is kind of standard. They play slow, or they like, they dive from far to close, and then they play a slow play style, and then they get faster and faster off of kills and ultimates. Brawl and Spam, though, are where it gets really interesting, and then where it gets very important to know the difference between the two. Brawl, or I guess let's start with Spam. Spam's easier to start with. Spam is made up of long range characters, right? And long range characters like long ranges and they want the fight to go slow, because if the fight goes slow, they have more time to spam you, more time to shoot at you, more time to do damage, right? The longer the fight
Right.
takes. Brawl characters, on the other hand, can't shoot people at a distance. So that means that the longer the fight goes on, the less time, basically the less damage they're doing overall, and the more damage the spam comp is doing. Therefore, Brawl likes to play fast, and they want to play close to you because they want to get on top of you. So those two are complete opposites. If the Brawl comp can get on top of you, they win. If the spam comp can tippy toe away from them and just keep away, then they win, right? That's just roughly how those two compositions work against each other. Now, hybrid's just anytime you're running pretty much anything. It's just like, the ranked comps where you don't really have anything in particular. If you have 4 more characters for a specific comp, you're probably that comp. But then if you have like 3 characters that are Brawl, 2 that are Dive, and 1 that's Spam, that's not really anything in particular. So you really are just going to be playing kind of deathmatchy, right? All doing your own thing. So let's look at the game that we're currently in, right? And get back to that. And look at the game we're in currently. So if we compare our 2 team compositions, so on our team comp, what would you say is the main team composition that we're running?
I mean, with the Sigma and Rat, it almost seems maybe more Spam. I mean,
So
with me, it's Brawl, but
I'd say this is a mixed bag. So this is, I would say, is kind of a hybrid between a spam and a brawl. As Sigma is a spam slash brawl character, Junkrat is a spam slash brawl character. Soldier's just flat up spam. He doesn't really fit into brawl too much. Ana's brawl, Reinhardt's brawl, Moira's brawl. So you have basically, you have three brawl characters and three spam characters with who are also two of them a little bit brawly, right? So overall, I'd probably say you're mostly a brawl, but you have a lot of spam elements mixed in there, right? So that means that, and then if we look at the enemy team composition, right? And we just take a look at that, right? Ana is a brawl. Reinhardt is a brawl. Sombra is a dive or brawl. She's not a spam character at all, right? McCree is a brawl. Or McCree works in anything, so he works in all three of them, right? A Baptiste is a spam slash brawl, a Zarya is a brawl. So if we just break that down again, right? So they have 1, 2, 3, 4 brawl characters, 4.5 brawl characters, 6 brawl characters. So overall, every single character on their team is a brawl character. And they have very little spam, right? Whereas if we look at our team comp, not every character is a brawl character, it's because of the soldier, right? And then we have more spam elements. So if we're comparing the two compositions and we're thinking, okay, in comparison to the enemy team, how should we be playing? Probably the optimal way for us to be playing would be a semi-passive play style, right? Would be we're taking the fights a little bit slower than them. We're taking the fights a little bit further away than them. We're not doing that all the way because we're still technically a brawl, right? Our composition is still technically a brawl. It's just in comparison to the enemy team, we're trying to take it a little bit slower and a little bit further away. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's just important to pay attention to. That kind of comes in at awareness, and just first thing you should be paying attention to every single game is what is my team running, what is the enemy team running, based off of first characters, but then also just team compositions, because those are important. Now, secondly, let's talk about no man's land usage and choke points. Now, I think we kind of understand that decently, but basically, we can just do it. I don't think we have to leave the game here. We can just do it in the replay. But basically, or just let me figure out how to start here. So choke points, you're familiar with choke points, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so choke points just basically a funnel, right? It'd be like this right here. Funnel,
Right.
they have to push through it. Very easy to spam them down. Now, if we hold at the front of a choke, that's not going to be any good because now they don't have to walk through the funnel. And in fact, if we're trying to back up, we have to walk through the funnel, right? And then that is not only not putting them at a disadvantage, it's putting us at the disadvantage. Same thing if we hold in the middle of it. Now, what we want to be doing preferably is holding at the end of it, right? Forcing them to walk through it, right?
Right.
Now, the exact same thing applies to no man's land. So no man's land is really any long open area where there's no cover at all. So on a payload map, that's pretty much going to be the entire road, the entire path that the payload follows is no man's land. So if you, for example, look at this isn't a good example right through here, where's the cover, right? What cover could they possibly be using aside from the cart that would allow them to get away from spam damage, get away from you shooting at them? Not really
Oh,
anything, right? They'd have to be like on the sides of it, right? And same
right.
thing, like just the entire pathway, entire pathway, entire pathway. So that would mean right here, this is the no man's land. This long stretch right where I'm standing. This is no man's land. Now, if we hold at the front of no man's land, then that means that that's obviously not very good for us. If we hold in the middle of no man's land, not very good for us. Instead, we want them to push through the no man's land. So preferably where we would be holding on this point is either on this bottom corner or this top corner for the high ground. So I probably say the top corner so we can give our spam our spam characters the high ground advantage would probably be a good idea here. If we're holding up there. But I mean, us holding on the bottom corner is also not that bad. Now let's see what we do here. Is we actually push
Observe the
past this corner and then run into them, right? We actually, so they're right now they're in the middle of this no man's land, right? We decide to go and kind of meet them in the middle, right? Where we push forwards, we go into the room over here, right? So we're still using cover, which is good. It's just that we're not really forcing them to walk through the open, which would probably be the preferable part, because that, means that our team gets to shoot at them more, means that our team gets to, hit them while they're out in the open. Because think of it, which is better for their Reinhardt? Is it better positioning for the Reinhardt to be stuck in this little room over here, or sitting over here out in the open?
Better for him. He'd rather be in the room.
He'd rather be in the room, yeah. So we're basically saying, sure, let's, we're giving him better cover by pushing over here, while also not letting him, not forcing him to push down the middle. So probably just hold the corner. Same thing as before. Fire strike. Don't, hold up your shield. Swing on the corner. Use cover, and then bait them into running into you. Now, once they get close, once he gets like up right next to you, then you can run into him. Be aggressive. Run into him. But up until that point, you don't want to run into him because then that just means that he's gonna back off, right? And then you don't really get the max advantage out of it, right? So bait him in. Let him walk towards you. Don't try to run and beat him. And then that also kind of ties into the compositions as well, was that we're just taking it at a fast pace when we probably should just be letting our team spam them more often is kind of the other point I was trying to make there. Good usage of cover.
Come out and face me. Cannot be stopped.
Alright, make sure when we're going for the shadow that we're angling it to try to hit as many people as possible. So, first off, okay, so it's right now it's a 6v5. So just taking a look at the team comps. We get another pick. We shatter one person. Maybe if we just tilted it like a slightly to the left, we could have gotten the Ana too. So just make sure hitting more than just one person. Typically, one-man shatters are okay, they're doable, but a lot of times you're gonna want to go for like 2+. So be a little bit more ambitious with your shatters. Don't just go for one person.
Okay.
Because a lot of times one person's just an advantage, whereas two people's a big advantage or one fight, right? So going for two people is usually gonna be a good idea. All right.
Activating the barrier.
Yeah, I like the fire striking off the cooldown. That's good. Okay, probably don't want to just be sitting there shielding. So again, like there's a lot of times here where our aggression is a little bit wacky. So when it comes to Reinhardt, we want to be going in and doing things while we have health and shields, right? Specifically health, right? When we have health, we want to be going in and getting aggressive. Now, when we don't have health, we want to be backing up, right? And backing out. But here we have our health, yeah, we just kind of are standing there. And I think we are trying to stop them from shooting our team who's behind them. But I would imagine we're going to find a similar amount of value out of just, swinging on things, right? As like there's not really a lot of people even shooting through that in the first place. Like what? Who's shooting through this that would be able to kill people? Well, you can't stop a fire strike. You can maybe you're getting the right clicks and the BAP shots, which aren't gonna do a ton. And I probably say you're gonna find more value out of actually swinging on people. And it's not just this one case. We've also noticed a couple other times where we'll just kind of sit there and shield, where we probably should be swinging because we have the health we have the health to back it up, right? Whereas here we're just kind of shielding. Now we're doing some stuff. Now we're just kind of shielding still, right? And then most of that fight we just kind of sat there shielding, whereas we want to be swinging and doing things, right, on Reinhardt. That's unfortunate. A good cover usage. I like we've actually done a really good job of using cover so far, especially like when we're hacked or low or whatever. Right before this, when we get hacked the first time. So not when we get EMP'd, of course, but right here when we see Sombras attempting to hack us, keep in mind that you can block hacks by shielding them. So you can just do a quick flick around with a shield, cancel it while you're walking over here to kill the Reinhardt. That can maybe stop you from getting hacked and keep you alive longer. And then you get EMP'd, so that's, not much you can do there. You charge to get back faster, right? So just, you come out of spawn, you're right here. Right, this is probably, to get back to point, this is probably the max distance you could travel, so just charge, get up to these boxes, climb, or you just get back as fast as possible. It's not like you're going to need it the second that you get into the fight, and you'll probably have most of it recharged by the time you get there anyways. So it's usually a really good habit to get into, is just charging back from spawn, which we did last time. Alright, so now that fight's lost. Probably do not want to be engaging here, because we don't have our team, and this has been the second time now. So last time we did talk about kill feed. Yeah, just confirming.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's just as a reminder, quick reminder. It's 1 to 2 is an advantage or a disadvantage. You get aggressive or passive accordingly. 2 to 3 people is a won or lost fight. Currently, it is a 1, 2, 3, 4 versus a 1, maybe 2, like 1.5. Bap looks like he's backing out here, and they also have close spawns. This is a lost fight. We should not be this far pushed forwards, because if this is a higher rank, they push you and you die. And even here, I would imagine maybe they're gonna push you and you die, because it looks like the Zarya is walking up too, right? So here we just do not want to be this far forwards. Also, we're able to shield that maybe. And then now where we have some more teammates back, this fight is now manageable. Watching the hack, right? This Sombra is just all over us, and we just need to get her off of us by canceling those hacks. And then on top of that, that's unfortunate. We got hacked out of the shadow. We just gotta watch with the Sombra is the big thing. All right, good charge out of spawn. I like it. Watching for the hack, just pay attention to the Sombra, right? These hacks are just kind of destroying us at the moment. And the biggest thing they would be able to, just stop it is just us shielding, right? It's really the only thing we can do to stop it.
My barrier is destroyed. Your power is the melody. Unstoppable. Let them go. I'm unstoppable. Pull together. My barrier is destroyed. Vide mal suyo. Unacceptable. Barrier unstable.
30 seconds.
They're very massive. Nice blocking. Okay, so shadows are actually looking very solid. Want to be getting aggressive right now. No reason not to be aggressive.
Yeah.
Currently, we are at a massive player advantage. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus a 1, 2, 3. And we also have full health, and there's no reason to just be sitting here shielding, right? So we just want to be getting aggressive. Probably says, well, let's go over strengths and weaknesses real quick, right? What do we need to look to work on? So, ability usage, fire strikes, looking fine. I think sometimes, you just need to get, tiny little things. Like, I think we're missing a lot of fire strikes, right? Where they're not hitting anything in particular, which is one thing, but I like the frequency that we're using them, and they're usually in the right direction. We're not tossing them into Narnia. Charges, kind of similar. It's like we just want to make sure we're using them to get back from spawn, want to make sure we're actually landing them, because sometimes we're missing them. And then that's pretty much it. I don't think we're not charging in stupid situations. We're not, messing up a lot of charges. So those two, little bit of inconsistencies, but not terrible, not great, right? Shield management, though, is the one that does need work with your abilities. Is a lot of time, we've talked about this where, we'll have it up too much at the beginning. We'll use it when it's not needed. We won't use it when it is needed, like to stop a hack. We will just kind of spam it up so that it never fully recharges. So just make sure we're putting it down to let it recharge when we're not using it for anything important. Just a lot of shield management things. So overall, ability usage, we'll just put that like a medium priority for now. We'll adjust that up and down as we go along. But for now, we're just going to put that at a medium. Now, ultimate usage has honestly been looking pretty solid. I think we've seen 3 of them. 2 of them landed. I've also seen, we've actually been blocking shatters pretty well too, so that's been looking good. And then there's just that one time where we got hacked out of our ultimate where it didn't do anything. And then also, sorry, maybe I've seen 4 shatters because there's also the one that we hit on Reinhardt where it's just one person. So
Yeah.
I'd say that, we had 2 good ones. One hit one Reinhardt, and then one that we got hacked out of. So just watch the hack, and then also make sure it's being more ambitious. So we're not just going for one single Reinhardt, because that's not going to get you a ton of value a lot of times. Because he's also going to be the easiest person to pocket and keep alive with like a bubble and healing and lamp and whatnot, right? So overall, I'd probably say there's tiny little bits here and there. So it's like a low to medium priority for you to work on. Reinhardt doesn't have mechanics, so that's not really a category. But then we move on to positioning. Positioning cover usage has honestly been looking pretty solid, though sometimes we are. I think one of the big ones is like knowing where to hold. So using a choke. We talked about choke point and no man's land usage. So understanding that properly, making sure holding on corners, or we're not walking. Letting them come to us when we're on defense in particular. Right. When you're on offense, well, you have to go to them now. So this is completely different. But when you're on defense, if you're in the good positioning, let them come to you. Let them walk through that bad positioning, right? And just wait for them on the other side because they have to come to you. They have to come to get to the point. Then on top of that, there's just the once in a while where we will step out to the open. And then let's see, was there anything else in positioning? I think that was pretty much it. So just to spread this out a little bit, because I think ability usage came above positioning by a fair margin. So to spread it out more, let's put the ultimate usage at a low priority. Right, it still needs stuff. It's just not super high on the list for the moment. It still does need work though. Then we're at low to medium. That's where we'll put positioning. Then ability usage comes at a medium priority, and then at a medium high, we're putting your awareness. Now your awareness / aggression, right? This is kind of this is a two-parter, right? And this is the biggest one. The one that needs the most work is we're just not paying attention to our surroundings, and a lot of time that's feeding into our aggression. So we're not paying attention to the kill feed, and then that means that we're pushing in when we're down people multiple times, and then that means that we are staggering ourselves and we're making mistakes, and then therefore that's bad for us, right? So that impacts our aggression. We're not paying attention to our health bar and when we should be getting aggressive. When we have health, go in. When we don't, stay out, right? Where sometimes we'll just won't do that. Sometimes we're getting too overly aggressive and we're not paying attention to our health bar. So we want to make sure we're paying attention to kill feed, pay attention to our health bar, pay attention to our shield health, make sure we're paying attention to where's my team at, where's the enemy team at, so that we're not letting the Sombra hack us over and over and over again, but we're paying attention to where she is at, paying attention as well to where our team is at, so we're not walking in without them, paying attention to team compositions, as team composition dictates play style, and when they're on a different team when we need to compare our two team compositions to see how are we playing according to them. So there's just a lot of aggression and awareness that really adds up, and that's really the main thing we're looking at the moment that needs work. So we'll adjust things up and down as we go along here, but those are really the kind of the order for now.
Cool heads. Steady.
I've always, and it sounds like it might actually be kind of a bad habit. Typically, when in the middle of a fight, I am swinging once or twice, popping my shield up for a second. Swinging once or twice, popping my shield up for a second. And to
Yeah,
me, it
so
sounds like that's a bad idea. Is that
So it really depends on the situation, right? So that if you go for longer stretches, so if you, for example, swing and swing and swing and swing, and then when you're low, you back up and then just shield to back up, and then your shield's low, so you duck behind cover, and then you use cover, and you go for a little bit longer of ins and a little bit longer of outs, then that can mean that you have more time to heal, more time to let your shield regenerate when you're out of the fight, and then when you're in the fight, you actually have more time to actually secure a kill. Whereas if we're just kind of going in and swinging for like, 2 swings and then we're out, what are we going to do with that? What we just, put some damage in, and then we created some space and we backed up, right? Whereas if you're going a little bit harder in when you're going in, well, now we can maybe push in and get a kill or get even more damage in. So it's really going to depend on the situation. It's definitely not bad in some cases to shield yourself, especially if the shield is needed. Like we talked about, there's a lot of instances where shield is going to be needed when we're low, when we're blocking abilities or ultimates, and that sometimes will require you to put it down and then put it up and then put it down and then put it up, right? That will happen. And then shield hopping will have you do that anyways, right? But then in general, we might want to just put it down when we're out of the fight and leave it down so that we can regen it, right? That way we're letting it recharge. So that makes sense. It's going to be situational. Both of them are valid. It's just that a lot of times here in these gameplay, when we're putting it up, it's not needed, right? When the times in which we're using it, we probably don't need to. So like, I mean, like if we went back and analyzed this last fight, we could probably look at that, right? If we just like went through each time we're holding up our shield. So right now we have full shield. Let's just watch the shield management, right? Full shield, shatter, big, massive, go through both the tanks. They get, lamps and bubbles, so they get pocketed through it, right? Backing up, we're low, we're shielding, that's fine, right? We get around the corner, we're swinging, we have health again, we go in, we block, that's fine, we're swinging. Okay, actually, never mind, it looks like that was most of the time. Now here we should not be shielding, there's no reason to be shielding, we back up again. Maybe we can look at it in the next fight, because that one didn't seem like there was very much there, right?
Right. Basically, you're just saying use it with more intent instead of routine kind of thing.
Exactly. Alright, very nice. Alright.
Coming at you. Payload is in my charge. Let us move it.
Make sure that we're intentionally expecting turrets and we're looking around for them. Again, team composition dictates play style. We see that they have a Symmetra. We see Symmetra shot at us. Therefore, in our head, we should be thinking turrets, right? Because that's just the natural connection once you're being aware of what team comp they're running. So turrets should not be surprising us if we're paying attention. Whereas here it did seem like that was almost a surprise. Like we were like, oh snap, there's turrets here, right?
Right.
So just be expecting it, right? Be aware of it. Okay, so here let's look, watch some shield usage. So we go in, we shield ourselves out. That's fine, right? We're back in. Oh, sorry. Let's rewind here a little bit. So we go in, we're shielding ourselves out, right? We're low health, right? We're good, but now our shield's half HP. This is where we probably want to be recharging it. That way, when we push in, we have most of it back. So what we could do right now is just swing and not put up our shield, or we can wait here for half a second, make sure we're focusing like the turrets down if we wanted to, but like we probably just don't want to put it up. But let's see what we put it up for. Fire strike, right?
Yeah. Right.
Not really anything in particular we put it up for. We're not low. No one, that we just discussed this previously, like all the different things that a shield is needed for. None of those things really apply at the moment, and therefore the shield just does nothing but cancel the regeneration process, right? And then we keep holding it up for a little bit, and now it's down, and let's keep watching it. So we swing a little bit. We're letting it recharge. This is good. That's exactly what you should be wanting to do. That we just played that perfectly, where we're just using the cart, we're swinging, we just still got value while regenning our shield. That was good. And now we're kind of doing this again, where we're pushing. Yeah, we're pushing. We're jumping in range of Reinhardt, and then we're standing there with a shield. Instead, get in range of Reinhardt, swing, swing, swing. We're half HP, then we're shielding and backing up a little bit, right? There's no reason to jump into him to shield, because that's doing nothing but just letting him swing on you, right?
Right.
Right. So now Sim's full beam on us. No, let's look at team compositions again for a second here. So, because we actually swapped these up quite a bit. So, our team composition: Reaper, full brawl; Kree, brawl/spam; Ana, full brawl; Ryan, full brawl; Lucio, full brawl; Zarya, full brawl. So now we are on pretty much a full brawl composition, right? Enemy team comp, Ana, full brawl; Hog, not really brawl. He's more of a spam character, but he's tiny bit brawl, right? Symmetra, really Brawl, right? Kind of like I'd probably say Symmetra's like kind of Reaperish, right? Ashe, not Brawl. Mercy, not Brawl. Ryan, not Brawl. Right? So if we look at their team compositions, our team compositions now they are the one we just did a flip flop. Now our team comp is the full Brawl, and their team comp is the Brawl with the 3 spam characters, right? In fact, I'd probably say that they're even more of a hard spam than we were, right? And on top of that, to top it all off, because they're currently they want to be playing slower and they want to be playing further away. But to top all of that off, they're also on a Symmetra who prefers a slow fight because the slower the fight goes, the more time she has to get her beam ramped up, the more time she has to basically do spam damage in there because she's kind of half spam there with just the amount of damage she's trying to output with her left click. So overall, right now we want to flip our mentality, and because of the team comp swaps, and we want to be going from a semi-passive, semi-aggressive playstyle to a full aggressive playstyle, right? Where we're just going and going, because currently we are on much heavier of a brawl than they are, right? So
Right.
that all makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So here, that's just how. Whereas currently, we're just kind of poking and poking and poking. Whereas we might want to just run straight through the Reinhardt, right? Because the Reinhardt's actually not now. The Reinhardt has even less support than we do, right? Because we have Bubble, we have Ana, we have Lucio, right? The Reinhardt doesn't have Lucio. The Reinhardt doesn't have Bubble, right? The Reinhardt doesn't. Mercy's not going to be able to heal the Reinhardt too well, right? So we just have a lot more team support with us. We probably should just be running in and doing things. Okay, and now the fight's done. By this point, right? We're down 2. They've done the big shatter. Mainly, I would probably attribute that to the very slow pacing of the fight, right? So notice how this is the first fight of the game, right? That was one single fight, and it took 50 seconds, right? 50 seconds is a pretty long fight to be taking. So that means they were just kind of poking around too much.
Our duty is to move the payload. Get to it.
Here, if we want to just completely...
Right.
What do you say?
Oh, I was saying charge to the point to be there faster.
No, I'd probably say
okay.
not too. Probably wouldn't do that just because that's you want to charge to get for mobility if the enemy team can't see you and shoot at you, because then
Okay.
but here they can see us and shoot at us, which would mean that we just can take a lot of extra damage. Plus the cart's like close enough anyways. We might want that charge this fight. What I was about to say is that if we're just trying to get around the sim TP super easily, all we have to do is just go left here, right? Just come out this left side. Well, now we've just kind of bypassed the TPs, or sorry, not the TPs, what are the turrets, right?
Turrets.
Is what they're called. So that's an option here. Okay, nice aggression. Massive shatter. Yeah, shatter's looking really solid. Very big. Okay, so there we actually got aggressive and we played fast and we won, right? That's just, you can just see that that was the good thing that we did there. Though it looks like we kind of needed the nano to have the courage to do that, whereas I'd probably say if we played that aggressive in the first fight, even without a nano, we probably could have won the first fight, right?
Well, that fight, the only reason I was taking a second is because of that giant sim wall.
Yeah.
I didn't want to cross that and have no support and just get rolled.
Yep. Which is reasonable. I'm making the comparison between the last fight and this fight.
Right, yeah, I get that. I see what the point.
Alright, good. Alright. So let's rewatch this a little bit. So we're holding up top. Honestly, I'd probably just hold cart here. I don't think we have enough team support up there, and we're not going to be able to hold up top here for long. As we see, we just get pushed off very easily because we only have 2 people up top, and we need someone pushing cart anyways. I would just say it's probably not usually a good idea to try to take this high ground unless you have enough spam up here to be able to just spam them off. The better strategy would be to just let that, because they have to touch point, right? They have to come to point to stop you. I would probably just play point and wait till they come to you so that we can get them. Whereas pushing up to them here probably plays into their hands because we don't really have a full team at the moment. Besides that, we're just kind of being rolled. We get healed up, then we get slapped, and then that's game over. Maybe when we're dropping, instead of dropping this way, we maybe could have dropped closer to like the mega room. So we have the mega as an option, and then we have a lot more cover over there as an option there of something we
Okay.
could have done.
Don't worry, my friend.
Very nice.
I have your shield. Hammer down. I'm escorting
Yeah.
the payload. Let's keep it moving.
Another instance where like I'm going, I don't know if we got a ton of value out of the single shatter on the hog because, yeah,
Yeah.
we got one person, but that one person is not going to win us this fight. And then the other thing to keep in mind here is that we are still pushing, well, not at a full team capacity. So paying attention to the team comps here, they do have a faster spawn because of the TP. We currently are at a 2v4, and they're about to get their another player back. So it's about to and we are, we have two people walking back, but that means that here it's going to be a 1 2 3 4 5 versus a 1 2 3 4, right? They don't really have our full team. On top of that, like we see a lot of people just drop out in the open. Let's say we just held on the shatter, and then we're just playing a little bit more passive, and then they all drop out in the open. They don't have a shield. We just go for like a 3k shatter on the hog, sim in on them,
Yeah.
right? So just options, just gonna be more value than just getting one person. So just be more.
I thought that killing him had given us enough time to get that second point, and
Yeah.
it really did not.
Again, probably not wanting to push into this fight. Like, this is maybe winnable, but it probably wouldn't say winnable enough to where we'd want to push it. Like, currently it's a 1-2-3 versus a 1-2-3, and then they're also getting two players back in half a second, and they also have close spawns. So I'd probably say that we're still maybe not looking the best at winning this fight, right? This is still very much in their favor. And then they even use an ult, and then we lose a player. So like, I don't like, and then we're still pushing, right? Even at this point, so it's just we're not looking behind us. We're constantly holding W, and we're not, we're not looking behind us. We're just looking forwards, and we're never looking left. We're never looking right. We're never doing a 360. On Reinhardt, you can look behind you while holding your shield. Are you familiar with that tech?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
holding
can look
left
behind
click.
you. Yep. So be one thing that I always recommend the Reinhardts is before you engage, right? So before even, back at this point, right? So let's go back. Let's go to your perspective here real quick. Back all the way back here, right? While we're walking back, before we engage, look around. So like right at this point, right? Watch kill feed. Look around us. Look left. Look right. We haven't engaged yet. We want to see how many people do we have with us? We can go, okay, snap, we just lost two people, right? So currently it's a, 1, 2, 3, 4 people here. Not looking super winnable, right? We just want to look around this before we're going in and just check. Do we have our team with us? Whereas here the answers to that is probably no. Throughout a lot of this, because, right? Right, and then as a result, we just die, and then we stagger, and then we did that a lot. We staggered a lot, so it's just even more of a aggression and awareness. Might even, we'll bump that up to like a high priority, because that seems to be like really the biggest issue. I mean, like, we're not, honestly, like, if we could get that out of the way, that's probably like the biggest thing at the moment that we're struggling with. It's like pretty massive. So we do have
Okay.
like 3 more minutes-ish before we get into the other stuff. Did you want to go over Monkey like very briefly?
I mean, if you have some tips, yeah, or I can send you one of these clips, but
Tips? Well, I mean, we could go over some just like Monkey techie stuff. I don't know how familiar you are with Monkey. Do you play him
I
very
mean,
much?
I do. I know I melee before I land on a jump. Of course, try and keep my beam on him until I land.
Alright.
That's probably the only mech that I know with him
Tech.
that I can think of. Tech, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You know how to do short jumps?
hold back and jump.
Yeah, hold back and jump.
Yeah. Yep.
Or you also, you know, if you're trying to land in the same place, you can also look up before you jump, right? So I mean, honestly, it looks like you got most of the tech down then. Making sure when you're ulting people, you're just trying to pin them into walls to get additional burst damage in, or to try to keep them pinned so they can't get away, right? From you is probably gonna be a really good idea. Besides that, try to take you know, just I guess real quick playstyle wise, right? Monkey doesn't want to hard engage. He wants to soft engage. So that means, you know, hard engage is if like we just like flat up, we just leapt straight into the back line and we're trying to get a kill, right? Most of the time, that's not how Monkey's going to want to operate. Instead, what he's going to want to do is he's going to want to do soft engages, where he just, for example, like you can drop from a high ground without using your jump if possible. Our objective here isn't to get a kill; it's to do damage, create space, do pressure, and get ult charge. Right now, when we get aggressive and we go for those hard dives, is when we see an opportunity. So somebody who's low, who's out of position, or if our team's gotten kills and we're up an advantage, or if we have our ultimate, because then we can get super aggressive, right? So those are all instances where we can get super aggressive, but up until one of those opportunities presents itself, we're not going to get super aggressive. We're going to play for soft dives. So we're just kind of poking, we're low, we're backing up to the high ground, we get healed, we get our cooldown back. Now we're just dropping on top of people, drop, bubble, we're dropping, we're poking, we're hopping out, right? That's why Dive loves high grounds. That's why like the best dive maps are going to be like Numbani and Watchpoint Gibraltar, because they love to be able to take these high grounds and just drop from them right on top of people, right? And then they can also get up to high grounds super easily if people are on high grounds, right? So that's just core basics of Monkey and his playstyle. Not much else to talk about, right? Primal's just, like I said, try to pin people into walls. So if this guy's in the room, we're gonna pin him over here, just jump into the wall, right? These guys just pin him to the corner, right? Just move them around, right? And then that way they can't get away. They can't just, and then if we just boop them across the map, then that's just, they're going to have time to get healed. It's going to be a lot less efficient. We can't land every jump and hit on them when they're all over the place, and that just means that we're getting further away from other people as well. So that's just how Monkey works. So let's swap back to the Reinhardt. We'll go over the main points, do a quick review, and then wrap up the session from there, right?
Okay.
So number 1 point, main point, was the awareness/aggression, right? Pretty massive stuff. Kill feed watching, right, was a big part of awareness. Paying attention to when we're up or down people. We constantly went in when we were down people, right? Make sure we're not walking into a fight that we've already lost, because we did that a lot, where we would basically, we'd already lost the fight before we even engage it, right? We're just walking. The process of us walking in there has lost us that fight, yet we're still going in constantly, and that happened like 4 times that game, right? Where we went in even though we were down people. So make sure paying attention to kill feed, stay out if you're down your team, pay attention to where your team is, pay attention to where the enemy team is. Watch your health bar, watch your shield. Make sure we're not, we're not full HP and just kind of sitting there shielding, and make sure we're not half HP and still swinging in there, right? Just pay attention to your health bars, pay attention to the shield health, and then make sure aggression-wise, going in when you have health and shields and when you have advantages, make sure we're actually pushing when we're up people and we've won the fight. Then besides that, let's see, what else was there? Paying attention to team compositions. Team comps dictate your play style. When we talked about, you have the team comp chart to look back on. But just keeping in mind that, watch for like the symmetric, watch for character swaps, but then also what team comp are we running and how does that affect our play style, right? Be more aggressive, right? Get on top of people when we have the reason to. Don't just kind of like sit there and shield and then like leap into them with a shield. Instead, go in and swing. Then when we're low, then we back up, right? Now moving on, number 2 was our ability usage. Fire strikes, just look to hit more of them. Charges, just look to hit more of them. Besides that, most of them were good, right? No real other problems with them. And then shield management was the one that we needed. We needed most work on. Shield management, we want to make sure that we're not just sitting there shielding a lot of times. Shield has 6 main reasons why we're going to shield. We shield for when we are low, for when our teammates are low, when we're blocking abilities or ultimates. Fire strike you can't block, so don't just put up your shield for a fire strike, right? Make sure that we can use it to push in aggressively, and we can use it to back up. And we can also use it when a ton of spam damage is coming in. Like, for example, you just got grabbed and you're trying to block damage from your team, right? But we're not just holding it up for an everyday random spam damage. So our basically our approach into a fight isn't going to be us just like, you know, if we're standing here and the fight's over here, we're not going to just like kind of sit on this corner and shield and then jump into them and shield. Instead, what we're gonna do is we're going to run around this corner and just start swinging on stuff, right? We're just gonna swing. Then when we're low and we have to back up, then we can shield ourselves out, right? And we can back up, shield up backwards, and then yeah, then we're good. On top of that, shield management, make sure we're not just constantly flashing it up. There are situations where flashing it up will be important, especially like if any of the things mentioned above was, you know, happening. We're blocking an old ability, people are low, right? Then we can flash it up, but then, you know, besides that, just try to leave times where you're letting it recharge. So we go in, aggro, we back up, right? Shield gets melted, we hold the corner, we're letting it recharge, okay, we have it back, and now we can go in again, right? So we're just letting our shield recharge instead of just going constantly throwing it back up when it's not needed. And that's pretty much the main ones. Then moving on to number 3 was our positioning, making sure that we are not in front or the middle of no man's lands or choke points, right? But instead we're standing behind them. Let the enemy team walk to you. So if we're holding this right here, and the enemy team has to walk through this no man's land, don't walk forwards to meet them. Let them come to you instead. And sometimes, like, you know, you probably shouldn't even be standing on the open. Go for fire strikes and then hold the corner, right? Don't really show yourselves. Don't let them poke you. Don't, you know, if you run into them, that's making them back off, and then now you've just walked into no man's land and they're not even coming in anymore. Bait them in. Wait till they're like right here, and then you can run at them, right? Then you can get aggressive and on top of them, right? Besides that, just a couple times where you want to make sure we're using cover more properly. And then besides that, ultimate usage, be a little bit more, is the final one. Actually, you know what? We'll swap those two around. Positioning actually looked really solid. I'd probably say ultimate usage is the last one. So we'll do ultimate usage is number 3, and then positioning is number 4. Ult usage, making sure that we are being more ambitious with it. Don't go for just one person, because as we saw with like the Hog, it didn't really do much value. And then the Reinhardt, I would argue we were pretty much winning the fight even before we, you know, at least we're at an advantage by the time we got to him. Usually not going to get you a ton of value. Go for more than just one, and then also make sure you're not getting hacked. Oh, that was another part of awareness, right? Just shield the hack, right? Just do a quick swing around that cancels it, right? And then that's pretty much all there was. So, any questions about anything we've talked about?
It comes back to Monkey. With Monkey, you sounded like his ult is a drastically more disruptive than a kill. Would you say that? Is it a more disruptive ult than a kill ult, or because I always try and treat it, dive onto, for example, the enemy Ana or the Baptiste, and then right before I land, I ult and then swing, and then I'm trying to juggle them into death, and honestly, I'm not very good at it, so it doesn't usually work.
It really depends on the situation. As there's sometimes where disrupting is going to be the best value you can get out of it, other times where it's not. So, you know, there's a lot of different ways you can use the ultimate. You can use it for damage, especially if you have corners to pin people into, or you have a map to boot people off of, right? You can boot people into other ultimates, like you can boot people into a Diva Bomb. You can disrupt people, so like one thing you can do with it is like disrupt tanks, especially because on a tank, a lot of times you're not going to be able to kill a tank with that ultimate. It doesn't do a ton of damage, right? So you might not want to spend your time on tanks. So instead, what you can do with tanks is like, for example, you can get up, like you can jump up behind them and like boop them into your team, and then proceed to wreck their backline, right? Which spreads them out, means that their tanks are now in the middle of your team without team support, right? Which is something you can do. So I probably say aim for both if possible.
Right.
Go for disruption and killing. Sometimes you might get more than the other, right? But you want to both disrupt them and boop them around, spread them out, make it hard for them to play together and be a team. But then at the same time, try to go for kills, and especially on the squishy targets like supports or DPS, right? Or or people who are low health, right?
Right.
Anything else?
Not right now.
All right. Well, then that is pretty much it, man. Let me stop the recording there.